It's The Record Machine with your host, Jimmy Hall.
I wanna learn and feel like I'm alive. I've been walking backwards. I've been speaking in echoes. I've been speaking in echoes to myself. Locked inside, where the shadows lie, collide. Is there anyone out there? Got those isolation blues in this vagabond shoes, going nowhere. Now I don't trust the rain no more. It took away everything. That big wind came and tore down my front door. Now listen, I'm not the kind of man to break down. Before I could rebuild, they came and locked down my whole town. We're all walking backwards. We're all speaking in tongues. If you breathe in the air, you're gonna poison your lungs. Fear is all around and everyone's shaking. Locked inside, when the shadows lie, collide. Is there anyone out there? Got those isolation blues in this vagabond shoes, going nowhere. Nothing that we can foresee or plan. Everything is getting out of hand. It's like the most chaotic bad dream I've ever seen. I need a connection. I need a new sense of direction. I wanna laugh and feel like I'm alive. I've been walking backwards. I've been speaking in echoes. I've been speaking in echoes to myself. Locked up inside, where the shadows and lights collide. Is there anyone out there? Got these isolation blues and these vagabond shoes. I gotta get out of here.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome singer-songwriter Andrew Adkins to the program. How you doing, Andrew?
Hey man, how's it going?
It's going good, man.
Good to hear from you.
You're in Nashville, huh?
Yeah, where are you?
I'm in North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Oh wow, how's the weather down there?
It's been warm. Today it was a little windy. It's supposed to rain sometime this afternoon. I think we're getting a little bit of a hurricane. That was in Florida, maybe, I think.
Yeah, I think so, somewhere around there. Alabama, Florida, that kind of.
Yeah, but it's not going to be bad. It's just going to be like some wind and some rain. But it's been warm the last couple of weeks, like 70, 80 degrees, something like that.
Yeah, I've been curious about that because it was pretty warm the last couple of days here, but I talked to somebody out, where was it, Arizona, and it was barely freezing out there. The weather's kind of crazy out there. So yeah, it's weird, and yeah, the weather's all, I don't know if it's just, everything culminating.
What part of Nashville are you in?
East Nashville.
Oh, nice. Is that near the Bluebird Cafe? Is that in that area?
No, that's actually across town. Bluebird's more kind of sort of southwest Nashville.
Oh, okay.
Green Hills is the name of the little suburb that's located in. So yeah, I very seldom get to that part. Now, man, it's, gosh, the last probably 7-8 years. Have you ever visited Nashville or came?
No, that's a trip that, me and my wife, we want to make a trip to go to Nashville and just check everything out. I only know like one other person from Nashville. I had him on my show. I think it was like 1.5 2 years ago. I think you might know who he is, Fred Knobloch.
That name sounds familiar.
He plays with Jelly Roll all the time. You know Jelly Roll Johnson?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on my show too. And,
that's cool, man. That's what I was starting to say about the Bluebird is like in the last 7 or 8 years, this town has just grown. I mean, obviously it hit a road bump with the COVID thing, but up until that point, the town was just growing. It was estimated like 100 people were moving here a day for like 2 years. And it's just so Green Hills, there's a little street that's just basically the part of Green Hills. There's like a big mall there. There's schools, churches, and then the Bluebird and shopping centers and stuff. So it's like kind of like the strip down through there. It's got to the point where the last handful of years you can barely make it through there. I mean, unless you're destined, you have a reason to go to the Bluebird, then by all means go. But generally, that's kind of the part. Because, I mean, you can get stuck in traffic for like a couple of hours easily, especially between 4 and 6 o'clock in the evenings. So it's just one of those really overly congested, because it's weird, because like I said, it's all a strip, so it's just 2 lanes. And I think there might be a turning lane. But so it's like there's not really, once you're on it, you can't really get off. And it's right off one of the interstates. So yeah, it's one of those kind of uncharted paths. Tourists love going there, but kind of like Broadway, it's almost like New York City. Like nobody goes to Times Square. No locals go to Times Square.
Right. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that's part of it. But I love the area. I wish I could go more, but man, yeah, it's so congested.
So how long have you lived in Nashville?
I've lived in Nashville probably about over a dozen years, probably.
Oh wow.
So I came here. I actually ended up in East Nashville at the time because it was the cheapest place. It was because nobody wanted to be here at the time. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, that's a cheap place, and it's 5 minutes from downtown. So I ended up here, and then within like 3 or 4 years after that, it just became like the hottest neighborhood in the state. And the next thing I'm seeing it like in, I don't know, Time magazine, like the hippest neighborhood in America. And like, so it's like rent tripled, and it's like you can't even like, it's just one of those things. I remember I was telling somebody not long ago, a good comparison is like I could go down to Kroger, for instance, which is just down the road from my house. If I needed butter or something, I could show up, go to Kroger, be in and out, be home from the time I left, back home in about 15, 20 minutes, including standing in line and going to get whatever you need. Now it's like, oh, you got about an hour to kill. Yeah, you can go get that butter. Or so
that's crazy.
I've been Amazon Prime and everything. It's just so much easier. So
before your solo career started in Nashville, you were in 2 bands, correct? And one of them, you got signed to a label that Ryan Gosling was heading. What's the story behind that?
Yeah, that was a weird thing. I was telling somebody asked me about that like a week or so ago, and the funny thing is the first band I was in was called Mellow Down, which we were like a 3-piece kind of rock sort of, I don't know, rootsy kind of band. I mean, we worked our butts off for upwards of probably 7 or 8 years. We were always on the road. I mean, I likened it to somebody. I told somebody, I described it to them the other day. It was like, I didn't go to college, but I spent most of my 20s on the road. Mm-hmm. So that was my college, that I learned so much, and for better and worse. And so that, I paid those dues, as they say, and I know what it's like traveling across the country to play for 5 people for $10. You know what I mean? And it's like I went down that whole run, and they're good and bad. But anyway, I work, and we got signed, but it wasn't really it didn't really take off like we hoped it would. So it was almost kind of like we just best walk away while the getting's good. And then I formed that band, Lions for Real, the second band. And within like, it was a surreal, one of those weird things like almost you'd see on like a movie. Because we formed the band, and within 2 months we're on a plane being flown to Los Angeles.
Wow.
You know, like we did nothing, and we just made a demo, and there we are. So yeah, that was a weird thing because Ryan made nobody knows this, which is so weird. He's a great singer-songwriter himself. He's got and the funny thing is, because he's got such that image of him being kind of the romantic pretty boy sort of guy,
right?
He's got like this Tom Waits thing about him in his music, which is you know, like I said, you would never associate that kind of sound or style. Really dark imagery and kind of a gruff voice. He's a really good piano player.
Okay.
So yeah, so he had a band. I don't know. I've not kept up with him lately, but he had a band called Dead Man's Bones around the time when my band was happening, around that time. And it was him and a bunch of guys from LA, different, you know, music and film people, just a kind of a project. So they made a label called Werewolf Heart Records, specifically to release his songs to distribute. And he bought a studio off Hollywood Boulevard, and that was kind of the headquarters of his record label. And then he brought some buddies in, and then they had bands, so it became this little miniature record label. And they hired an A&R guy who was actually affiliated with some of the other guys in my band. So I think that's what spearheaded everything. Because he told the singer of my band at the time, hey, if you ever have a new project, send me some stuff. I'd love to hear. And then we got word. He's like, I'm working with this record label in Los Angeles. Ryan Gosling is funding it. And it was just a weird thing to hear. And we sent them a demo, and they loved it apparently. And so what they were doing is they were going to sign us to their label. Well, they did sign us to their label, but they were trying to find a larger major label for distribution. And so it's going to be like a kind of a hybrid sort of record contract deal. And it was a weird thing. But here's the thing, the downside of that was as quick as it took off is as quick as it burned out. Because it was, you know, it was like I said, the whole thing was like watching a movie, because, you know, after the fact, you kind of sit down and realize, wow, what just happened? And part of it was a cliche, because I've always heard of people, I've had friends that, you know, signed to like big, you know, Sony or RCA Records or something, like a huge label, get like $250,000 or whatever, and then all of a sudden they get ready to do their album, or they do the album, and before the album is released, the bass player quits or something. You know, you always hear cliche stories of that.
Right.
You're always like, to us musicians, you're like, why would you do that? You work your whole life. Why would you screw it up?
Right.
And you know, and I found myself in that position, because here we are, you know, this band that has all these promises and all this money being thrown at us, and I am miserable. I told a friend, which is funny looking back on it, I told him that I was going to quit. I was going to sell my guitars, quit playing music. I was going to be either a butcher or a post, which I don't know why those two sounded so appealing at the time, but I just wanted out. I was so, because, you know, I was writing music, and I spent my whole life writing music, and, you know, and the process is, you know, you write music, especially when you're in a band, you bounce it off the other guys, and if you like it, it's cool, and there's a song, you know, and so now we're having to share the music not only with the band members, but this corporate board of people, and then they're saying, okay, that's a good song. Let's talk about your outfit. Let's talk about your haircut. Like, so they prioritized all these image things over the music, and they were trying to take us stylistically, like, in different directions we weren't comfortable with. Well, I shouldn't say we. I mean, it was me and another guy. It was kind of ripped at the band, because two of the guys were so willing to go forward with it, and me and another guy were like, no, this isn't really for me. So I quit. I thought, if I don't quit this band right now, I'm gonna hate music. You know, it's like one of those things, like if you love something, then all of a sudden you start using it or doing it all much, you get burnt out on it.
Right.
I had to get away, so I was like, if I don't quit this band, I'm quitting music. And I almost did both, but thankfully I just needed a breather, and that's kind of what started me on the solo thing.
And since 2013, you've been doing a lot of solo stuff, right? I mean, you're getting a lot of high praise on the internet, and I've read a lot of good reviews about you, and you have a brand new album coming out. It's coming out in November, The Echoist, right? I mean, I've listened to this at least 10 times, man. It is killer. I love your style, man. It's great. I love it. Thank you
so much, man. That really means a lot.
Can you talk about the album a little bit?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for saying that, because
you're welcome.
It's a weird. It went. I was in a weird place going into this album, because I had been making music. The last couple albums I made, well, kind of my first sort of quote unquote official solo album was very rootsy rock. It was more rootsy than rock, I guess you could say. And people that I was working with at the time were really trying to push me Nashville's got it's a really big hotbed of like Americana roots music, which is cool. And I love that style. So many of my friends are in that market, and in that field. But the people I was working with at the time, they were like, we really need to, cause that's always been part of me. Acoustic music and folk songs and stuff has always been a huge part of where I came from, really. Like Neil Young and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young and all that stuff. I cut my teeth on a lot of that stuff coming up. So anytime I get to have an acoustic guitar in my hand and play cool rootsy music, I welcome it. So the people I was working with at the time, they were just like, we really need to push you towards that Americana market. And I wasn't, I'm always weird when kind of like going back to the Ryan Gosling thing. I'm always weird when people kind of push me and prod me in certain directions with my own music, but which I understand that's selfish because they're the music business. You're the musician. You have to kind of listen to them sometimes to get anywhere. And that's probably been my sort of, bane of my existence, is kind of being apprehensive and sort of screwing things up because I'm weird about that. But I was willing to go with it, and I was like, yeah, cool, let's do it, so they kind of pushed me in that realm. And the funny thing I come to find out is I was still too rock for the Americana market, and I was too Americana for the rock market. So I didn't know what was going on. That album's, it did all right, but it was kind of, it was expected to do better, I guess, than what it was. And so, the people I was working with, we kind of parted ways, and I was kind of left not knowing what to do. So I just started making music for the sake of making music, and I didn't have no pretense. I'm not like, I'm going to market this towards this market or whatever. And I just started making music because I was more or less trying to say, this is who I am. If it's going to have electronic elements or bluegrass elements mixed together with pop, whatever. If that comes out of me, it's me. So that's what kind of, I've been kind of creating in that realm. And then this record, I just wanted to I wanted to throw it all against the wall and see what stuck. And so I'm still, as the album's slowly starting to come out, I'm still sort of uncertain about what people's going to think of it, because it's definitely different, because it has a lot of psychedelic elements to it, and there's a lot of different sounds,
Yeah, it's like groovy, it's psychedelic, it's got some funk in my ears. I hear funk too,
Yeah, there's definitely some funk there, some sort of Motown sort of kind of thing. But yeah, so like I said, it's just this, this like a culmination of all this influences and stuff. So it's weird because when I hear, people say something good about it, I'm like, wow, really? It's like, I don't know. It's like the ugly kid in class being told he's good looking. I'm like, oh wow, so you just, you don't know. I still don't know how to accept it. So, but I'm grateful, and I'm glad that people are starting to sort of, latch on to it. So yeah, it's a different realm for me. But I hope this is going to be home from now on. I hope people, if I put an acoustic guitar or a synthesizer or whatever, I hope nobody blinks twice. I just hope that they accept the fact that whatever you hear is me. And yeah, I'm cool with. I don't need to be in a genre. I made my mind up about this a year or two ago. What the record people want to do with me, let them do what they want to do with me. I'm going to give them the music, and they can take it for what it's worth. That's basically my new policy.
Right. Yeah. You're an artist. You want the stuff to come out the way that you recorded it. You don't want to, you have to change everything. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Cause I've worked with people where it's like, you go back in and listen to the songs you gave them, and you're like, where's my song?
Right.
Like I hear my voice, but I don't necessarily hear me. So yeah, I've just got to the point, we're to the point as a society, and especially in the music business, is you got kids that are sitting on their bedroom, 15 years old, making $1 million a year doing cover songs or whatever. Something, and we have access and accessibility to get our songs out there, contracts, pending. As long as we're able to release our music, then let's do it. And that's where I'm at right now. If the labels aren't going to want to work with me, then that's fine. I'll do it on my own. So yeah.
Yeah. The business has changed so much, over the last 20 years or so. People aren't buying CDs really as much anymore. They're getting everything off the streaming services or YouTube and stuff like that. And
yeah,
I noticed your YouTube page, and I see that you've released 3 singles with the music videos as well. And the one that caught my eye was Save the Day.
Yeah.
Was that inspired by the events of 2020?
Definitely. The funny thing about Save the Day is, well, it's funny, 2 first singles, Vagabond Shoes and Save the Day, originally they were not going to be on the album. And actually, I finished the album back in January, so it's almost a year old, as far as me finishing it. I finished it, it was ready to go, and then the COVID thing happened. Well, here's the thing. The Nashville tornadoes happened. We had a really bad tornado 2 weeks before the lockdown. Mm-hmm. So back in early March, we were just like, especially East Nashville and North Nashville, Germantown, we were hit by this devastating tornado. Thankfully, I was able to, it went right by me. I felt it, in my window. I thought my windows were going to blow out. But a few streets over, it was just demolished so much. And it was very heartbreaking, heart-wrenching. It was a horrible time. So I had friends and acquaintances that were dealing with that and going through that, rebuilding and getting things underway. And then all of a sudden COVID happened. Because I remember about a week after the tornadoes happened, we had like the first case downtown and everybody was freaking out. Like there's COVID, because you heard it all around. There's been cases in New York, there's been cases in, Wisconsin or whatever. And it finally made it to Nashville and everybody started freaking out. And then within a couple of weeks, we're locked down. I'm just one of those people, especially as a songwriter, I can't just sit around and watch the world go around me, especially in these times,
right?
And not say anything about it, or at least not express myself. Within, I think it was probably about early April, both of these songs Vagabond Shoes just kind of landed in my lap. I wrote that, and I wasn't going to put on an album. I just wanted to get it out, as a kind of therapeutic thing. Mm-hmm. Save the Day, that arrived. I was just going through a hard drive of different song ideas, and gosh, I think I originally came up with the music of Save the Day maybe over a year and a half ago. And I thought, oh, this is kind of cool. And then the lyrics just started pouring out about everything. And I was very inspired by, what was going on in the streets, with protests. And, the civil unrest was very moving, in a dark and light kind of way as well, because, you supported the people out there, but then you thought about why they're out there and what's provoking them. And it angers you to see if that we're still, here we are in 2020 and we've, it's like we went through so many of our lives, at least for me, thinking, well, we've progressed so much, and then it takes certain instances like what's happened and what continues to happen, really.
Right.
So we realize, have we evolved as much as we hoped? And, here we are, like I said, 2020, and there's still so many things we need to fix that we should have fixed years ago. So my point is, these songs came out of nowhere, and they were so relevant and topical for me. And at the time, I'm thinking, I'm going to rearrange my album. I'm going to, so I made room for them, and I cut a few things off. I revised the album since the lockdown, and I thought I have to include these two songs. Save the Day specifically, though, I wanted to put it out there before election, and because I think it's just a culmination of everything. It's what was going on in the summer and the spring. It's what's been going on throughout this past year. The political climate's been so just red hot, and everybody's just firing on all cylinders. And it's just very, again, it's just kind of like the protest. It's just like you're hopeful and you're positive, but yet there's so much that makes you angry, and there's so much that just gets underneath you. So, yeah, I wanted to put it out, make sure that it was out before the election. Matter of fact, I was going to release my album like 2 days after the election, 2 or 3 days after the election. And I kind of pushed it at least a week later. I didn't want to release it at all in November, but because, who knows what type of, what the world's going to look like around that moment. So, yeah, I don't know. For better or worse, you got a distraction on November 13th when my record comes out.
Well, I'm glad that you put Vagabond Shoes on the album, because that's my favorite one.
Oh, thanks, man. That was a fun one. And that's another thing I'd like to do. I'd like to take something really grim and downbeat and make it sound cheery and up-tempo.
Oh, the song has just so many like groovy beats and lines in it. Like I'm humming that song in the car on the way to work every day. I love it.
Oh, thanks, man. That means a lot.
It really is my favorite one. And I thought Save the Day, the song, its meaning and the video, the way the video was put together too is really cool. Because I've noticed a lot of your videos, you have a lot of, it's theatric.
Yeah, I got a friend of mine, he actually lives in Russia, which is, totally non-political, obviously. It's like you can't even say the word right now within this last month without having somebody say something. But yeah, it was a fan that reached out, and he really dug my music, and he has a little film company called Cotton, and his links are on my, on the videos on YouTube, so if you want to check him out. But a really creative guy. So, all that, I don't know, it was a good companionship, because I felt like his vision fit my music really well. Because I think in that theatrical sense, which I think might lead to a lot of the, licensing sync stuff that I've had happen the last few years. Mm-hmm. I get really inspired by people like, Ennio Morricone. I don't know if you know who he is. He's he just passed away this year. He was a film composer.
Oh, okay.
Like Good and the Bad, the Ugly. That was his most famous one. But
okay.
He's a huge hero of mine. And so I don't know. I compose a lot like that. I use a lot of like kind of I don't know how to put it. Just a lot of shadows, a lot of depth. I try to anyway. And music and words. So when he approached me about doing these videos, I thought, man, it's like his vision looks like how I feel my music might sound.
Okay.
So it was a perfect combination. So it's been very cool working with him, and I hope to continue going forward.
That's cool. Now, you've worked besides writing music for your solo act and your bands and stuff. You wrote music or had music made with films and Netflix and TV, correct?
Yeah.
Anything we would know about?
My last record my last record has a couple songs, well, a few actually. But there's a song called I'm Indestructible, which has seemed to be the one that is crazy to me to think. I wrote this song probably 6 or 7 years ago, and it's still going. Like, it's still being put on trailers, movies. It's on Netflix. I think as of right now, that song is on Netflix, cool. Amazon Prime, and Hulu. So it's on all like the three biggies. So yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's cool to see a song. And the funny thing about that song is that I remember specifically thinking, this is horrible. I hate this song. I'm going to cut it. And that's turned out to be the one because I remember thinking I was going to cut it because nobody's going to like it. But that turned out to be the one that everybody liked. And like I said, it's still going. So Indestructible, Fire and Brimstone. There's like 2 or 3 songs off my last record that have made it in a lot of TV shows and film trailers, and it's very cool. That's to me, it's because I love films. I'm a huge film buff, so it's kind of cool to have both of my 2 favorite worlds meet in the middle. It's
also good. Another talent that you can use fall back on when you're not writing.
Oh yeah, music. I've actually been actively
with television and film, and
it's become a thing of mine that I had no idea I would ever get to that. I mean, I always thought it was cool, film composition and stuff like that, and scoring. In the back of my mind, I thought it'd be cool to do that one day. But yeah, as of about a month or 2 ago, I started doing it. I started working with a company out of Los Angeles where I'm doing, film scores and television scores. So yeah, I'm actively doing it. I will be doing a session in a few hours actually, for some scoring sessions. So I've been doing that, and it's been cool, and it's another outlet. It's almost like having 2 bands, because I get to, but what's funny about the composing thing is like, it's really easy to me because I didn't realize how easy it was to write a song without having to worry about lyrics or choruses and bridges, so
right.
It's kind of a cool experiment to go that route where it's almost like it's like a free form way of writing, because you have you really have no boundaries. You have no most people want your songs to be like, all right, you try to keep it under 5 minutes, make sure your choruses are catchy, you have that hook, you want people to adapt to that. But with films and stuff, you can just sit there, you can hold a note for like 2 minutes and just add elements to it, and it's cool.
Nice.
So
That's
it's fun, cool. Man. Yeah, it's a fun world. I'm very fortunate to be able to do both.
That's awesome, man. Over the years, you shared the stage with artists like Cage the Elephant, Little Big Town, Sturgill Simpson. What's that like?
That's cool. The whole thing. The funny thing is about, specifically Sturgill and Cage is little known fact that nobody knows is, gosh, I don't even remember what year it was. It was years ago, maybe 2008, maybe. My band at the time, Mellow Down, we would go back and forth. We'd play Nashville and Bowling Green a lot. Bowling Green, Kentucky, which is, it's like an hour north of Nashville, give or take. And we would play up there a lot, and we got to be friends with the Cage Elephant guys. At the time, they were called Perfect Confusion. That was their previous band, or it was basically the same band with just a different couple members. And we became really good friends, really tight with those guys. And they became Cage Elephant eventually. And we brought them to Nashville for their first Nashville show, opening for my old band. So that's what we would do. We'd bring them to Nashville. They'd open up for us. We'd go to Bowling Green and open up for them.
Nice.
So I just remember it was so funny to think these guys were so nervous. They're like, what's it like being in Nashville? Because at that point, they had not really toured that much. They were just getting started. And, we took them to Nashville. I think there might have been 12 people in the crowd for us and them. And the funny thing is, which I was so proud because I think, I don't know, maybe 10 years after, it was a couple of years ago, literally like down the street from that venue that's no longer there, was a venue called Windows on the Cumberland. A lot of old school Nashville people would know what I'm talking about. But that was the venue we brought them to the first show in Nashville. Well, a couple years ago, they headlined at Amphitheater, which is just down the road from that venue.
Oh, wow.
You know, like, I don't know how many people, it's probably 3,000 or 4,000 people. But yeah, they were like the headliners that night. So I thought, wow, that's so cool to see them go from 12 people to whatever, 3,000 or 4,000 and headlining. And now they're blowing up. They're huge. And I'm incredibly proud of them. I don't keep up with them like I used to, but I still see Matt, the singer, every now and then. And Sturgill was the same way. Like, he had a band called Sunday Valley. Is it Sunday Valley? Forgive me if I'm wrong. You might want to Google that. But they were a Lexington band, and my old band would go to Lexington and play. And so basically, you know, we got to know these guys back before they were who they are now, you know. And so it's cool. And I saw Sturgill maybe about a year ago, and yeah, he's doing really, obviously, very well.
Awesome.
But it's cool to look back, especially when you come up with these guys. You see the success that they have, and
right.
And he just came out with a new album as well. So yeah, it's cool to see that. You know, it just makes the world seem so much bigger.
Right. So I guess you're playing it basically by ear as to what's going to happen as far as you doing any shows in 2021, correct?
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, well, the funny thing is, I took 2019 off the road. I played maybe 5 shows the entire year, and I specifically did that so I can write and record and focus on that, because it's hard for me. I wish I could be that writer that can be like, yeah, I got off stage, went back to the hotel and wrote a song. I can't do that. I'm so one-track minded. Like, if I'm touring, I'm not writing. And when I'm writing, I can't break away to do shows. It's so weird. So I took 2019 off, and 2020 happened, and I started, I got back into it. I played my last show, at the beginning, I think December 12th or something like that of last year. So that was the last show I ever I played, and I obviously had no idea what was coming. So we're coming up on a year, which is the longest I've ever been not on stage consecutively. So yeah, it's so weird. Like I said, I went from a whole year being off to playing maybe a handful of shows, and now this. So yeah, I don't know. I don't hate not being on stage, to be honest. I really like holding myself up in the studio and doing that thing. So I've not really been bothered that much from not being able, but I feel bad for a lot of my friends and people that I know that's their livelihood, you know, that they have to be on the road.
Right.
So I don't know, man. That's an interesting thing, because yeah, I don't know what to expect in 2021 at all, let alone the live music scene.
Right.
You know, there's so much uncertainty, as we talked about earlier, man. I'd like to get back out there at some point, definitely.
That's cool. Do you have a website you want to promote?
Yeah, it's andrewadkins.net. You can find all my links to, so that's basically a hub for all my social media. And so yeah, you want to find out anything about me, go there, and that'll link you to my socials, and follow me there if you can. Any
final thoughts before we go?
I'm just hoping for the best. That's all I can say for myself and everyone. I just, you know, there's so much, I feel like we're just looking into this funnel of fog, and we have no idea what's going to jump out in front of us, or you know, so it's a very trying time, a lot of unknown uncertainty. And, you know, I'll be putting my album out next month, and I hope the world is headed in a better direction at that point.
Andrew, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really enjoy the album. The Echo is coming out in November on the 13th, folks. Definitely go out and get it, buy it off the streaming site. Are you selling hard copies as well, or no?
We're waiting to see how things go. Yes, I mean, eventually they will be. As of right now, there's no immediate plans. But yeah, I would assume 2021 there'll be some hard copies for sure.
It's awesome, man. Well, like I said, I wish you all the best, and I hope you have much success with this album, and you stay safe, and we'll talk soon, man.
You do too, man. Have a good one, and I appreciate you having me.
All right, man. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.